Most riders think they know the risks. Speed, bad drivers, wet roads, the obvious stuff. But what really gets riders killed? It's not always the stuff we talk about. It's the quiet threats, the overlooked moments, the situations that don't feel dangerous until suddenly they are. Every experienced rider has a story that ends with, "I never saw it coming." Not because they were reckless, but because danger was hiding in plain sight. So this isn't a scare piece, it's a warning. These are the ways riders get themselves killed without even realizing they're in danger. Things no one teaches you in a beginner course. The scenarios that catch riders off guard and leave no second chances. If this video keeps just one rider out of the ER or the morgue, it was worth writing. Number 1. Drifting into the no man's land between lanes on the highway. You're cruising on the highway, passing traffic, staying aware, but without realizing it, you settle into that space between cars, just far enough ahead of the one behind, just far enough behind the one in front. You're not tailgating, you're not being reckless, but you've just put yourself into one of the most deadly spots on the road. The no man's land between cars. Here's the trap. Cars change lanes constantly. Most drivers make that decision without signaling, without looking, and without expecting a motorcycle. If you're sitting in the space between two lanes, just off the rear quarter of the car next to you, you're in the worst possible blind spot, especially at highway speeds. Add in road debris, crosswinds, or sudden lane shifts, and you're boxed in with nowhere to go. Most riders don't think twice about this position. Feels safe, you're not crowding anyone, and you got some buffer space. But it's an illusion. You're in the kill zone. The rule? Either pass or back off. Don't linger beside cars. Don't hang out in that gray area between mirror checks and actual awareness. If you're overtaken, do it with purpose. If you're hanging back, leave yourself a true escape path. Every rider's been in this zone at some point, and if you've never had a car drift into your lane like you weren't there, you will. The only question is whether you'll be ready or whether you'll still be coasting in the blind spot, wondering what just hit you. Number 2, wearing a backpack that could paralyze you in a crash. Everyone wears backpacks. You throw in a water bottle, maybe a toolkit, a change of clothes, and hit the road. Feels convenient, harmless. But what most riders don't realize is that the wrong kind of backpack can turn a survivable crash into a spinal injury. Here's the dark truth. Hard objects in your backpack, tools, locks, laptops, water bottles, can act like a wedge or an impact weapon in a slide or a fall. If you go down on your back, those items press directly into your spine, ribs, and shoulders. And if you tumble, that bulky pack can twist your torso while your body rotates, tearing muscles and damaging your spinal cord. Even simple stuff like a chain lock, a compact camera, or a wrench can be devastating in a crash. Riders have suffered paralysis, broken backs, and internal injuries because of what was in their bag, not what was on their bike. The fix? Use a proper motorcycle backpack, one with padded compartments, no loose metal, and ideally CE-rated back protection. Or better yet, carry your tools in saddlebags or tail storage, anything that keeps sharp, hard items away from your spine. It's one of the most overlooked dangers on two wheels. You're fully geared up, armored head to toe, and carrying a grenade on your back without even realizing it. Check your bag. Every rider's made this mistake. The smart ones only make it once. Number 3, trust in the green light instead of checking the intersection. You're sitting at a red light. It turns green. You roll on the throttle, maybe not even thinking about it because green means go, right? But here's the killer. The moment you move is when you're most vulnerable. And if someone runs that red light, you're the target. Riders get taken out every year by drivers who blow through intersections. Sometimes they're texting, sometimes they're trying to beat the yellow, sometimes they're just not paying attention. But once your light turns green, You become a moving bullseye, and the habit of trusting the light instead of checking the intersection first can be fatal. You don't get much time, a glance, a scan. That's all it takes to see that car still rolling too fast, that truck not slowing down. But if you jump the green like it's a drag race, you're already in the kill zone before you even realize the danger. Every rider's had that one close call where they moved too soon and a car missed them by feet or inches, or didn't miss at all. The rule? Count to 1, check left, check right, then move. Don't trust the light, trust your eyes, because while the law might be on your side, the bumper isn't. It's not paranoia, it's self-preservation. And once you've seen a vehicle blast through a stale red like you weren't even there, you'll never launch on green without thinking again. Number 4, riding over painted road markings like they're just part of the pavement. They're everywhere. Lane dividers, crosswalks, arrows, turn indicators. Just paint on the road, right? You barely think about them. But what most riders don't realize is that painted road surfaces become death traps the moment they get wet or even just humid. That glossy white or yellow paint, it's not grippy like asphalt. It's slick, especially in older areas where reflective paint has built up in thick layers. Add rain, dew, or oil residue, and that surface becomes slipperier than polished steel. Riders have low-sided at parking lot speeds just from touching a wet crosswalk during a turn. And don't even think about braking hard while your tires are on paint. The danger is worst during the first rain after a dry spell, when oil and rubber haven't been washed off yet. That's when paint acts like ice, and even small lean angles or gentle throttle inputs can send you sliding. It's one of those hazards you don't really feel until it's too late. And then you're already on the ground wondering what the hell just happened. The rule? Avoid painted surfaces in the wet like they're made of glass. Stay off crosswalks mid-turn. Don't brake while crossing arrows or lane lines. And if you have to ride over them, go upright, steady, and gentle on all inputs. Paint isn't pavement, it's a warning sign. If you've lived through it once, you already know. Number 5. Trust in the tire just because it looks fine. A tire doesn't need to be bald to be dangerous. Doesn't even need to be old. One of the most lethal mistakes riders make is assuming that if the tread looks okay, the tire must be fine. But what you can't see is what kills. Motorcycle tires age fast, faster than tire cars, and even when the rubber looks good, it can harden, dry out, and lose grip long before the wear bars show. A tire that's been sitting for a couple years in the garage, sun exposed or heat cycled over and over can feel solid until it slides out in a corner or locks up under braking. And the worst part? There's no warning. No vibration, no odd handling, just grip one moment, gone the next. Even brand new tires can be a threat. They come coated with mold-release chemicals from the factory. If you don't scrub them in gently over the first 100 miles or so, they stay slick. And that first hard lean could be your last. The rule? Check the date code. It's molded into the sidewall, 4 digits. First 2 are the week, last 2 are the year. If it's older than 5 years, get rid of it. If you bought a bike used and don't know the history, assume it needs tires unless proven otherwise. Tires are the only thing between you and the road. If you guess wrong, you might not get a second chance. Number 6. Trusting the group ride to keep you safe. Group rides look safe on the surface. There's comfort in numbers, more visibility to drivers, and the idea that you've got people watching your back. But group rides are one of the most dangerous places for an inexperienced or overconfident rider to be. Why? Because riders start riding the group's pace instead of their own. It happens all the time. The group leader picks up speed, someone falls behind. The rider in back panics and pushes harder to catch up. Corners get rushed, lane changes get sloppy, and now you got a pack of bikes with wildly different skill levels all pretending they're on the same page. Worse, Riders get locked into formation. They feel trapped in a staggered line with no escape path if someone ahead hits the brakes or swerved. Add in the pressure not to screw up in front of the group, and suddenly you got a recipe for bad decisions and slow reactions. And let's not forget the wild card, the show-off. Every group has one. The guy who wheelies through intersections, rips past everyone in twisties, or slams the brakes at gas stations. One bad move from him, and he doesn't just take himself out. He takes someone else with him. The rule? Ride your ride, even in a group. Leave space. Let him go. Know your limits and stick to them. No group, no pack, no club is worth your bike or your life. Number 7. Getting too comfortable on roads you know by heart. Ask any experienced rider where their close calls happen, and you'll be surprised by how many say, right near home. Not on a mountain pass, not in city traffic, but on that same road they've ridden 100 times. The familiar back road, the shortcut through the woods, the wide open curve they take every Sunday. And that's exactly the problem. Familiarity breeds overconfidence. You ride these roads so often that your guard drops. You know every bend, every bump, every blind intersection. Until something changes. Patch of gravel, an oil stain, a new pothole, a deer that wasn't there last week. And because you expect the road to behave, you ride like nothing could go wrong. The roads don't care if you memorized them. They change with the weather, with the seasons, with time. And the most dangerous moment in any ride is when your brain says, I've got this. That's when the throttle gets heavier, your line gets tighter, and your eyes stop scanning. It's not about fear. It's about respect for the road, the conditions, and the fact that every ride is different, even when it doesn't feel like it. The rule? Treat every road like it's your first time on it. Keep scanning, stay sharp, and never let routine become relaxation, because that's when the road reminds you who's boss. Number 8. Riding in full gear that doesn't actually protect you. You've got the jacket, the gloves, the helmet, the boots. You're covered head to toe. You look like you're ready for a track day or at least a safe commute. But here's the catch. Just because you're wearing gear doesn't mean you're protected. Most riders assume gear equals safety, but a huge number of jackets, pants, and gloves on the market are made with fashion in mind, not function. Lightweight materials, non-CE rated armor, or armor that doesn't even sit in the right place when you're on the bike. You crash, and that elbow pad that looked good in the mirror, it's halfway up your bicep now, doing absolutely nothing. Even worse, some gear has zero abrasion resistance. Looks like leather, feels like leather, but melts faster than a plastic bag when it hits the pavement. One slide at 30 miles an hour, and it's shredded. And don't get fooled by cheap knockoffs online. Just because it says CE approved doesn't mean it's been tested or that it passed. There's no regulation on using that label in many places. It's a sticker, not a promise. The rule? Fit matters. Materials matter. Certifications matter. Learn what real CE Level 2 armor is. Look for abrasion ratings. Try your gear on in a riding position. If it shifts when you move around your living room, imagine what it does at 60 miles an hour on asphalt. Wearing gear is smart, but trusting bad gear is just a slower way to get hurt. Number 9. Riding without checking your tire pressure, even after a short break. Everyone knows tire pressure matters, but what most riders don't realize is how fast it can change. A bike that felt perfect yesterday can be dangerous today, and the difference might only be 3 psi. That's all it takes to turn confident cornering into vague, unpredictable handling, or worse, full-on tire failure. And here's the kicker. You don't need a leak for your pressure to drop. Just a cold snap overnight, a bike that sat for a few days, or an altitude change on a trip can knock your PSI into the danger zone. And most riders don't check. They feel the tires, bounce the suspension, and assume it's fine. But underinflated tires overheat, deform under stress, and lose grip when you need it the most. They wear unevenly and can fail catastrophically, especially when loaded with gear or carrying a passenger. Overinflated tires? They reduce your contact patch, compromise braking, and make your suspension feel like you're riding on bricks. And here's the scary part. You won't always feel it until it's too late. The bike just feels off until it slides. The rule? Check cold pressure before any serious ride. Not by feel, not by guess, with a proper gauge. And if you're traveling, adjust for the load, the temps, and the conditions. It's 5 minutes of prevention that can save your bike or your life. It's the easiest maintenance task in the world, and the most ignored. Number 10. Getting too comfortable on perfect riding days. The sun's out, the road's dry, traffic's light, your bike is dialed in. And that's when it happens. The biggest crashes often don't come when conditions are bad. They come when everything feels perfect, because that's when riders drop their guard. On a beautiful day, you ride faster, you lean harder, you brake later. Your instincts start to relax because nothing feels wrong. But that's exactly when small mistakes creep in. You misjudge a corner. You overlook a car creeping out of a driveway. You get caught up in the ride and forget the risk. It's not reckless. It's not stupidity. It's confidence turned into complacency. You stop scanning for hazards because your brain isn't on high alert. You start assuming things will go right because they have been for the last 50 miles. And that's when the road reminds you that it's always in charge. Ask around and you'll hear it. It was the perfect ride until it wasn't. The rule? Never let comfort override awareness. Enjoy the day, love the ride, but keep your head sharp. Keep your spacing, your scanning, your cornering lines. Keep your emergency reflexes just under the surface, because even on perfect days, the road doesn't owe you anything. Good conditions don't make you bulletproof. They just make it easier to forget that you're still on two wheels. Number 11. Relying on ABS to save you instead of learning real braking technique. ABS is one of the greatest safety features ever added to motorcycles, but it's also created a false sense of invincibility. A lot of riders, especially new ones, ride around thinking ABS is a get-out-of-jail-free card. They think they can just grab a handful of brake and the bike will sort it out. But here's what they don't realize. ABS doesn't make you stop faster. It just helps prevent lockup. If your braking technique is bad, ABS won't save you. In fact, it can even make things worse if you don't understand how your system behaves under pressure. Hard on the front brake mid-corner? ABS might stand the bike up and send you wide. Stabbing both brakes on gravel? You still might slide, just in a slower, more confusing way. And worst of all, some riders don't even realize how their own systems function. Is it front only, rear only, linked, cornering ABS, or basic? If you don't know, you're betting your life on tech you don't understand. The rule? Practice braking with and without ABS activation. Learn what it feels like. Practice threshold braking in a safe space. Understand where the limits are and how your bike behaves under pressure. ABS is a tool, not a shield. And riders who treat it like magic are often the ones who learn, too late, that it only works if you do. Most riders don't go out looking for danger. It finds them in the small moments they didn't think mattered. The second too early on the throttle, a little too much confidence on a sunny day, a habit that never caused problems before until the one time it did. That's the terrifying part of riding. The biggest risks aren't always the obvious ones. They're the ones you don't even recognize until the crash is already happening. But here's the good news. Now you've seen them. These are the blind spots that take lives, not because riders are careless, but because no one warned them in time. Now, you've got the warning. So take it seriously. Share it with someone. And if you've had a close call that can help someone else avoid the same trap, Drop it in the comments. Let's keep each other upright. This hit home? Hit that like button and subscribe, because this channel isn't just about bikes, it's about surviving them. Ride smart, stay sharp, and keep the rubber side down.